Kendrick Perkins was just on Patrick Beverley's podcast, and he was asked about the incident with JJ Redick on First Take regarding the MVP voters, where he claims that he never said the MVP voters were racist. He just said that they were racially biased since most of them were white. But I'll let you guys hear his full comments before I continue.
A big part of your job is takes, just having a take that's stimulating conversation-wise. And the one this year that got the most attention was you saying that Jokic being the front runner for MVP was because he was a white dude. And as you look at that situation with hindsight, I'm curious, do you feel the same way? And on a bigger level, when you look at the takes that you come up with, is it often something that you yourself believe, or do you wake up that morning being like, hey, I know what my job is. This will be good for the discourse that we're about to have. And does that factor into your decision?
Well, one, Rone, great question. You have to realize ESPN is one network, but it's different shows inside that network. And Pat could tell you this. You got the Get Up. You got First Take. You got at the 12 o'clock Sports Center. You got NBA Today, the 6 p.m. Sports Center. I'm a guy that in the playoffs and when basketball season get heavy, I may work from 6 o'clock in the morning all the way to midnight sometime, especially when I'm in LA. And so when I drop a hot take, majority of the time, my hot takes are on First Take. The show is called First Take.
Right.
It's not a take that I don't believe, but this is the problem that I have when it came down to the Jokic situation. It was clips and pieces that people pulled out instead of watching the whole episode.
I watched that entire episode, and those clips were an accurate representation of what he said.
It started with me and Stephen A. debating about Jokic and Embid, right? And all I was saying was, it was about 30-something games left into the season. My thing was that, well, how in the hell with it 30-something games left in the season, we already saying that the MVP race is over?
Right away, Kendrick Perkins is rewriting history. Not once did anybody ever say that Nikola Jokic was the runaway MVP. He didn't even win the MVP. But even during that debate, many people like myself picked Joel Embid because he was much more dominant of a scorer and he was a better defender. Their records were almost the same at that time. The three MVP favorites were Giannis, Embid, and Jokic, and none of them had a clear advantage at that point. Perk bringing up stat padding and racial bias came out of nowhere, and there was a real debate he could have had.
As far as the racism part of it, the only thing that I hated, I love a good debate. Pat will tell you, man, First Take, you gonna get into a heated debate. So me and JJ got into a heated debate, man, and I love JJ Redick, right? Here's the thing. The only problem that I had with JJ is when he said, I accuse people of being racist. I never accused nobody of being racist, bro. Like, accusing somebody, and correct me if I'm wrong, racist is that you hate someone of another color. Am I right or am I wrong? That's racist, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, that's right. So I never said that. Now, racially biased, okay, cool. I told JJ off record. Bro, when Obama ran for president, I know Black people out of my community that never voted in their life. Me, personally, I never voted in my life. You know, I rushed to go vote for Obama because I actually wanted to see a Black president in office. Does that make me racist? Does that make a Black person racist? No, it don't. And it happens. Like, you ain't doing it intentionally, but just because you may be rooting for someone of your own kind doesn't make you a racist. And that was my only problem with what I had with JJ said. Me and them talked about that off of camera, because I'm like, bro, the last thing I'm doing is accusing somebody of being a racist.
Kendrick Perkins did accuse the MVP voters of being racist, because when you make an accusation like that, you're saying that the voters have been favoriting white players over Black players over the course of many years. That's different than voting for Obama because you want to see the first black president. That's over the course of many years, making a conscious decision to judge people for the color of their skin. If the NBA was giving out awards based on skin color because of the racial bias of the voters, that's a horrible thing and that should be called out. But the fact is, there's no evidence to support that. Just because 3 white dudes won an MVP doesn't mean that the NBA is racially biased in selecting awards. Perk skipping the fact that he blatantly lied on TV. He said 80% of the MVP voters were white, and that wasn't even true. And even if they were, saying that someone is racially biased just because they're white in itself is racist. But I think Kendrick Perkins admitting that he's racially biased makes a lot of sense. That's why he would make up those false narratives about Nikola Jokic, saying that he's a stat patter and that if he were to win MVP, it would be because of the voters. If we go by Kendrick Perkins' own words, he's racially biased against Nikola Jokic because he's white and he favors his own kind like Joel Embid. There's no other explanation for why someone in the media like Kendrick Perkins would lie and try to ruin a player's reputation like Nikola Jokic's. The only other explanation was that he was doing it for ratings. But in this same interview, he said he's never made a take that he doesn't fully believe and that he would never make up a take for ratings. If someone like JJ Redick or Max Kellerman made these exact same comments, they'd be fired immediately. In fact, many employees at ESPN have been fired for much less. But Kendrick Perkins is allowed to stay on the air because with all these crazy takes, he does draw in ratings. Whether he intentionally makes these takes or he's just so biased and such a liar that people will tune in anyway. So he's going to keep his job. That's all I have for this video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Kendrick Perkins admitting that he has a racial bias. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more NBA content just like this. And I will see you in the next upload.